So this past off season, I sat down and took some time and wrote this devotional, Eternal Impact. You can find it on Amazon. It's designed for coaches, but it's really applicable to anyone. So if you want to check that out, it's on Amazon. But today I wanted to share with you just a short devotional from that. And you can see behind me is our team motto, or our team creed is on the wall. It's upward, inward, outward. And so we talk to our guys a lot about those three words. And we start with upward is just the simple fact that not every student at our school gets the opportunity to play sports. They don't have the talent, they don't have the ability, and specifically baseball. Not everybody was groomed to be a baseball player, has the hand-eye coordination. So we talk to our guys about, God's gifted you with those abilities to play the game, and if you take the time to recognize that, then what are you going to do with it? Are you going to come out here and you're going to go halfway, or are you going to maximize those abilities, which takes us to inward, so once I realize that, I have to look inward and go, okay, what am I going to do with these gifts that I've been given? And so if God's given me these gifts, I'm going to work to be the best player that I can be, the best person I can be, because that's what I owe Him, to do that if He's given me those gifts. And then we move to outward. So if it's not just about me, once I work to maximize the best I can be, that has to pour out of me, and I'm becoming the best teammate I can be, the best son that I can be, the best representative of this program in the community that I can be, the best student that I can be for my teachers, just an overall productive citizen. That's what we talk about when we talk about upward, inward, outward. And if you hear us break it down at a game, we'll say UIO, and everybody probably thinks, what the heck is that? But that stands for upward, inward, outward, and that's what we're trying to get through to these players. And that leads me to think about 1 Timothy chapter 4, verses 7 and 8. And Paul's talking to his disciple Timothy. He says, "Have nothing to do with irreverent, silly myths. Rather, train yourself for godliness. For while bodily training is of some value, godliness is of value in every other way, as it holds promise for the present life and also for the life to come." And so every coach and every athlete knows the value of training, because you're simply not going to succeed without it. And here's the deal. We all want success. The question is, are we willing to do what it takes to achieve it? And so with the baseball team, if we think about the course of a year, we're doing preseason conditioning, we're doing weight training, we've got individual workouts, we've got team workouts. So essentially 11 months out of the year, we're doing some type of training. And a lot of people look at that and go, well, why? Why are you spending that much time? And the answer is simple. It's because the more you train, the more effective you're going to be. And if I think about my job as a coach, so I sit down and I'm meticulous with practice planning. It's down to the finest detail. What are we going to do today in practice? And it's that way because I know the skills that my team needs to master if they want to win. And so as a coach, I can't leave those things to chance. I can't do it, because if I do, things aren't going to go well. So we have to be intentional about a coaching staff. We have to be intentional about a team as to the way that we train. But the reality is that this truth, that simple truth, it applies to every aspect of our lives, of my life, of your life. If we want to win, we got to train. And so if you think about your job, if you want to be good at your job, if you want to climb the ladder, if you want to get a promotion, you got to train, you got to work at it. If you think about the kids in school, from kindergarten on, you spend countless number of hours in school, and you get to college and you go a certain route, a certain direction, whether it's trade school, whether it's 2-year college, 4-year college, because you're training for a certain field. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes intentionality. If you just think about your own children, if you have kids, think about all the ways that you schedule activities, you plan activities, not to mention you take them from here to there, all the time and intentionality that goes into that. And why do you do it? Because you're training them, you're building them up, you want them to be something, right? And then you can even apply this to something as simple and as trivial as a vacation. I mean, how much time do you spend planning where you're gonna go, how you're gonna get there, where you're gonna stay, what you're gonna eat, what you're gonna do when you're there? I mean, a lot of people spend a lot of time planning something as simple and as trivial as a vacation. And so here's the point. The point is, the things that we value, we're intentional with. The things that we value, we're intentional with. So if we go back to 1 Timothy, Paul's simply asking, do you apply this principle to your spiritual life? See, all these other things are good. My baseball team, it's a good thing. Your job, your education, your kids, even your vacation, those are all good things. But here's the deal, they're temporal. They're temporal things. How much more important is your spiritual life that's eternal? Now I want you to listen to me again. How much more important is your spiritual life, which is eternal. That's what Paul's saying. He's saying focus on the things that matter, things of eternal value. He says train yourself for godliness. So study the Scripture, be intentional with your prayer life, spend time in fellowship with other believers, right? Make those things a priority. That's what Paul's saying. So here's my challenge for you today. For me, if I look in the mirror, do I have a detailed plan for my spiritual life and training for godliness that goes beyond the detail that I put into practice plans for my team? For you, are you training for godliness with the same or the greater level of energy that you put into your job, you put into your kids, or can I dare even say that you put into planning your vacation? See, if we come back to these three words, upward, inward, outward, God has given you certain gifts and abilities. Do you recognize that? And if you do, we move to inward, and what are you doing with it? Are you training for godliness and maximizing the gifts that He's given you? And if you are, then what we should see is outward. We should see a natural overflow and a pouring out of those gifts that you've maximized that God has given you. And it pours out into the lives of others. And it gives you the opportunity not to have a temporal impact, not to have a short-term impact, but to have a lasting impact, an impact that's eternal, that will ripple all throughout eternity.